Welcome back to my channel. I'm Angela. I'm in the pantry today. I'm actually going around doing a little bit of inventory, not like pen to paper type of inventory, kind of just some mental notes. We are approaching the first of the year, so I want to wish everyone a happy new year. Tomorrow is the first of the year. If you follow Jessica at Three Rivers Homestead, you might be familiar with the Pantry Challenge that she started many years ago. If you are familiar with it, this video is going to share with you what my goals are and some of the restrictions I'm going to put on myself. If you've never heard of what it is before, the Pantry Challenge, the goal basically is to go through your pantry and eat through the supply that you have, so that way you kind of have a fresh slate to do a restock. If you don't do any home preservation and you go to the store and you kind of stock up on your canned goods, you still want to rotate through those items just the same way that somebody who does home preservation would. So my jars behind me that I home can has a shelf life, a recommended shelf life, if you will, on it. And I want to make sure I'm going through that supply, so that way come the next harvest season, as I'm growing that food, I create a hole in my pantry so I can put the new supply through it. If we continue to go through the whole entire year of going to the grocery store, we can find sometimes that we're not being intentional with using the supply that we have on hand. January and February, for those who live up north like I do, is actually a great opportunity and a great time to set these pantry challenges on us, because chances are we don't want to go outside to go to the store anyhow. So, you know, it's kind of nice to just hunker down and rely on the food that is in our pantry. Every year I participate in this challenge, I kind of have new goals and objectives for myself, and my rules to the challenge change every single year. This is the first year I'm participating that I pretty much have almost a no-goes kind of rule when it comes to the grocery store. So every year we do make it a goal to not go out to eat. We won't call in fast food. We don't go to a restaurant. We certainly don't go through fast food. That includes lunches at work and then as a family as well. So whether it's individual or as a family, we're not eating out. If we're eating out, we're not eating the food that's here in our pantry, and we're not going through the supply. So that's something that stays consistent throughout every year. Prior years, I reduced my grocery allowance, my grocery budget, and I tried to save significantly and really only go for true necessities. And every year I add to my garden, subsequently adding to my pantry. Those necessities have changed over the years and have lessened and lessened. So last year I had certain items that I was going to allow myself to go to the grocery store for. This year I have certain things that I will allow myself to go to the grocery store for, but it looks much different than last year. I have about 3 items that we will be going to the store for. That's milk, heavy cream, and pop. We're pop drinkers here in the house, soda, pop, wherever you come from. And so my husband generally will find himself going in and out of the stores, I don't know, maybe like every other week, picking up a case or two of pop, and that's when, if need be, I'll say, hey, pick up a gallon of milk or a thing of heavy cream. My hens are doing, like, they are laying like crazy. We're getting 6, 7, 8, 9 eggs a day. I do expect that's going to change. So come mid-January, or maybe even sometime in February, I might add eggs to that list. but we'll see. As of right now, we don't need to get eggs from the store, so I can't project if that will change or not. Let me know if you're doing the pantry challenge. If you're not, is this, has something that you've ever heard of before? Are you just don't have maybe a need to do it? Are you worried about the challenge? Is it just, you just like going to the grocery store? I don't know, whatever the reason is, let me know down in the comment section if you are participating in the challenge this year. What are your rules? And what are some of the difficulties you found from prior challenges? Let us know down in the comment section. So we're gonna go along with each other this week. I will show you our first official week of meals. We'll start with dinners, and at some point maybe I'll show you breakfasts that we do as well, but certainly this week I'm going to show you all of the meals that we're having straight from my pantry, no grocery store needed. I also will be very transparent and honest with you if we end up going to the grocery store for something that's not on my exception list, or if we go out to eat. It's not like I don't get a prize for sticking with this, and I don't certainly have to pay a fee or anything if I don't stick to my challenge. And I will be very open and transparent with you if for some reason I do not stay within my intended rules that I placed on us. I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but I will say one caveat to the going out to dinner or grocery store is we do have birthdays coming up, and everyone gets to choose their birthday dinner. If for some reason something's chosen that I don't have here in my pantry, it's an item I don't keep stocked, maybe I have to have a fresh produce for what that particular meal, I do go to the grocery store just for that meal. I don't purchase anything outside of my list then just to have for a different time. It's those particular ingredients only. Sometimes then a child will actually choose to go out to dinner, and so we might do that. So it's totally up to that particular person. So that's one of those exceptions that I make all year long, actually. So yeah, so I look forward to sharing with you how I'm going to go through this journey this year. If you like to see it more in current time, what we're doing for dinner instead of a recap like I will do here on YouTube, go follow me over there on Instagram and you can see what we're doing every day for meals. So I thank you so much for being a subscriber. Thank you so much for commenting and engaging with me. I absolutely look forward to that the most, and can't wait to see if any of you have done the challenge in the past and how it has worked for you. So I will see you tomorrow, New Year's Day, when we are getting our dinner together. Happy New Year. It's the first day of the first year and we're getting dinner started. I'm going to get my black-eyed peas on the stovetop here started. It's supposed to bring us good luck for the new year, so we'll see about that. I took out a package of the bacon ends and pieces. I just want to chop them up a little bit smaller, and I'm going to get those going here in my pot. I'm not going to use the whole package because they're actually pretty large. Excuse me, ma'am. Down. Last night before I went to bed, I have here in this bowl the black-eyed peas soaking overnight. So I'm going to get those drained off. Once the bacon here starts to crisp up a little bit, render out some of that fat and give the pot some flavor, we're going to saute up some onion, a little bit of pepper. I'm not going to use this whole bag. We'll add the beans. I'm going to use some ham stock. I think that gives the best flavor for any sort of bean dish that you're making. And then of course the ham carcass left over from our Christmas dinner just a few days ago. Okay, I'm gonna take out the bacon because it's mostly just fatty type of pieces and I don't really want to bite into something like that. So they will cool down and we will give those to the dogs as treats every now and again. But we're gonna get our onion in here. A little bit of pepper. Gonna add pepper, but I'm not gonna add salt because the ham and the ham stock has plenty of salt. I can adjust it later on if I think it needs more. You can really make this in any sort of pot that you have. I just happen to love Dutch ovens. If I have the opportunity to cook something in a Dutch oven instead of a slow cooker, I will choose that hands down every single time. And we're gonna do 1 clove of garlic. Since I used frozen peppers and onions, I'm not really looking to saute the onions or caramelize them in any way. I was just waiting for some of that water to evaporate before I added the garlic. So if you're using fresh onion and green pepper, and you can actually omit the green pepper, I'm just using the things that I have in my freezer. So I like adding it to like anything I can at this point. You just want to cook it enough that the rawness flavor from that onion is cooked out. Give that garlic just a minute or so to kind of cook down. Same thing, just kind of getting that rawness out of the bite of garlic before we add our next ingredients. Okay, we're gonna get the ham stock poured in. I will need more liquid, but I'm gonna use water. You could do chicken stock, turkey stock if you wish. But again, I absolutely love the flavor that ham stock lends. We're gonna get our beans in. I didn't do a whole lot of beans because there's not a whole lot of us here today that will be eating this dish. So I don't have exact measurements. I just eyeball everything. This is the ham, but it's way too much. It's way too big. In fact, I think I'm gonna save this because I'm making 13 bean soup tomorrow. This would be perfect for that. So I think I'm gonna go into my freezer, and I know I have a smaller, something smaller for this. Because these beans are raw, we need to make sure we have plenty of water or stock, some sort of liquid in here, so that as they cook, you know, they can continue to plump up and absorb whatever broth you have in here. So it definitely appears, you know, obviously on the very liquidy side. So if you've never had a dish like this before, just know that it's going to plump up. You'll have to keep an eye on it. You may very well need to come back through and add more liquid. So this can project to cook and simmer on low. I would say 2.5 hours, given the amount of beans that I have in here. If you do a full pound, pound and a half, 2 pounds, definitely give yourself 3 to 4 hours for it to simmer. Put the lid on, and I'll just come and check on it you know, maybe in about half hour, 40 minutes, and kind of see if it needs any more liquid added at that point. I was outside with the dogs and I came in and the house smells so good. And it's only been an hour, maybe not even a full hour. I absolutely love making a dish in the wintertime. When it's cold outside, you come in, the aroma fills the house and just lends to the coziness of it. I don't know if you could hear my dog in the background, but she's getting cozy currently now too. Okay, so let's take a look at what it looks like about an hour in to cooking. Definitely simmering and bubbling. Beans are plumping up a little. They're starting to soften up. They're, you know, certainly far from ready. I'm not going to add any broth at this point because I do like my beans to be thicker. There's nothing in here that's raw, so you could certainly give it a little taste test at this point if you'd wish, just to kind of see where you're at with your salt. I'm gonna let it, you know, cook about another, I don't know, half hour, and then I will give it a taste test because I'll taste the bean with it then as well to see just about how long we think we need until it's done cooking. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the lid cracked because I want some more of the liquid to evaporate out because I do want thicker beans, but it's looking really good so far. At the end of the process, we should be able to pretty much shred the meat off of the ham bones here. While the beans finish cooking, while we're waiting on the cornbread to sort of thicken up a little bit and my pan is getting hot in the oven, I have these steaks out. These have been salted. First thing this morning, last night we took the steaks out to thaw. First thing this morning my husband salted the steaks both sides really well, and I have these sitting out to get to room temperature. In about a half hour or so we'll be ready to put these on the grill. We don't have a traditional New Year's Day, typical New Year's Day dinner. It varies every year depending on who we're celebrating with, and this year we decided we wanted to have steaks. I tasted the beans. The beans are done, so I'm going to remove my ham and I'm going to slice the meat off of it and get the meat back in and keep the bones out, of course. You could do smoked ham hocks. You could ground up some sausage and put sausage in here. You don't even have to add meat back into here. It could just be the bones of a ham hock without like a whole lot of meat attached to it, which this basically is kind of what it is. There's just a little bit of meat on here that I'll scrape off, but you don't necessarily have to add meat back into this dish if you don't want to. Okay, that's pretty much done. I'm not going to add anything more back in there because it's mostly fat. So these beans are done. They look so good. Oh my gosh. Keep the temperature low because I'm basically just trying to keep them warm at this point. I did taste it. It does not need more salt. It is just perfect. Part of one of the Azure hauls I did was potatoes, and in order to preserve them as best as I could, I did all sorts of, you know, all sorts of things with them. I made pierogies to put in the freezer. I did mashed potatoes to then put in the freezer. I also baked a ton of them, cooled them down completely, and put them in the freezer. Oh, and I did home fries as well. I love having those in the freezer. I don't know if this was a good idea or not. We are about to find out. So I don't have potatoes in the house currently. There's a ton of different potato options I could do. And then I went to the freezer to actually get out some of the home fries because I thought we'll just have fried potatoes with dinner. And I saw these, and so we're gonna warm them up here in the microwave, maybe about 5 minutes, and then I'm just gonna put them in the oven and they'll stay there at 400 degrees until I'm ready to serve dinner, and let's just hope they turn out okay. For our Christmas celebration, it was just a couple of days ago with all of our kids and family, and we had a snacking board with fresh vegetables. I was gonna steam the rest of the broccoli and cauliflower just to make sure that we are eating through everything. I don't want anything going bad. But we've actually been snacking on it then the last 2 days as well, and so there's really not a whole lot left. So I just went to the pantry and grabbed a can of green beans to have with dinner. So we've got black-eyed peas, we've got cornbread, we're gonna grill up some steaks despite the fact that it's snowing outside. You just learn to work around that sort of thing when you live in Ohio. Doesn't matter what the weather is outside, we're gonna still grill when we want certain things cooked a particular way. And green beans, and then the potatoes. Okay, let's see. Oh, I erased it. I think I did 8 minutes in the microwave. They are holding up phenomenally. They're not watery. They like literally are like a baked potato. So I'm actually gonna finish these in the oven. The cornbread has 3 minutes. I'm gonna check on it now. By the time the grill is lit and we get the steaks cooked, these will finish off in the oven, just heating through. So far, I think that's an amazing preservation idea if you need to use a potatoes that might start to, start going bad on you, growing eyes, that whole thing. This is a great suggestion so far. "13 bean soup, 15 bean soup, 16 bean soup," whatever it is you call it, depending on, the mixture you purchase in the store. Mine happens to be 13 bean soup. I'm gonna get that started now. It's almost 8 o'clock in the morning. It's going to cook and simmer for several hours because I forgot to soak my beans last night. So it's no big deal. As long as you give yourself ample time to get everything cooked, that's just fine. So I love the soup, one, because it's just very easy. You throw everything into a pot, basically, let it simmer and cook away for hours, and you come stir it, check on it. But it has amazing flavor in it. With very little ingredients, which I also love. So I have some carrots and a clove of garlic chopped. I don't have carrots in the house. But I do have baby carrots left over from the veggie tray at Christmas. So I'm just using those. We'll get them used up sometime this week in some dishes that we're doing. We have onion. I'm using my ham stock with water. We'll add to it a can of diced tomatoes. You can use fire roasted tomatoes. You can use tomato sauce. You can do crushed tomatoes, whatever you have. Of course, your mixture. I'm doing 1.5 pounds because I'm feeding several people with that today. I have my ham bone that's pretty meaty left over from Christmas, but I'm also adding, of course, a smoked ham hock to it. So I'm going to get started. I'm going to heat up my pot, a rather large pot, so I can get my onions and carrots a head start. I'm at my stepson and daughter-in-law's home today, so the only thing I didn't bring with me was an oil, and I know they have oil here somewhere. Okay, found some olive oil. This is something that can be done in the slow cooker as well. But as you already know, if I can do something on the stovetop, or maybe even in the oven, you know, when it comes to roasts, I will do that. I really save my slow cooker for the times when I'm not going to be home. Which I've actually just sort of recently learned that there's a lot of people who do not like using their slow cooker if they're not going to be home. I don't know if that light is going to interfere. So, I don't know. Let me know. Do you use your slow cooker when you're not going to be home, or do you not like having things like that going on? I'm going to add my onion. We're going to get this going just a couple minutes. Give it a head start. Garlic going in. Now, if you soaked your beans the night before, you could even do a quick soak method, but I've got all day, so I'm not worried about it. But if you soaked them the night before, if you wanted to do this for lunch, if you've got like a bigger crowd to feed, it would be ready within probably 2 hours. Also, your beans, if you purchase them at a store in the 1 pound package, or I think they even sell them in the 2 pound packages, but they come with a seasoning packet inside. I've never used one of those before, so, and then I buy mine in bulk, so I just weigh out how much I need. But I know there are some recipes that call for adding in that seasoning packet. I never have. Okay, I'm going to add in my tomatoes, my ham broth, I rinsed and picked through the beans just to make sure there weren't any rocks in there, so I'm going to get those added. Here's the mixture. So there's lima beans, black-eyed peas, lentils, split peas, kidney beans, black beans, baby lima beans and large lima beans, pinto beans, chickpeas. Let's see what else is there. Cranberry beans, it looks like. I don't know, a mixture of 13 different beans. And it's really nice because your lentils are really going to just, really cook down. And that is what helps to thicken this mixture. You, of course, can control how much liquid and how thin your soup ends up by the amount of liquid that you put in there. Okay, I'm gonna add some more water here because I know those beans are really gonna swell. You can add more water as needed or more stock. The ham stock, ham, and the smoked ham hock is pretty salty, so I like to compensate that by adding water. We're going to add 2 bay leaves, some rosemary, and some thyme. About a teaspoon, half a teaspoon to a teaspoon of each. I'm going to get the ham bone in here. This is a very large ham hock. So I'm just adding, they cut it up for me. So I'm going to add, let me see. I'll add these 2 pieces. I know my husband's gonna want a lot of meat in there, and I'll reserve this one something else. Put some pepper in here. And that's it. I'm gonna put the lid on. We're gonna bring it to a low boil. Then I'm just gonna turn it down and let it simmer. So it's 8:05 now. I'll bring you back once something, substantial has changed. I am going to make cornbread to go with the dinner tonight. I'm gonna portion out some to keep here and bring the rest home. And that's dinner for today. I am back home and it's dinner time. So I'm gonna serve up a bowl of this 13 bean soup. Looks amazing. Smells incredible too. And then I did make 2 batches, well, 1 batch of cornbread, and I just separated it into 2 of these to keep a batch at my stepson's house and for us to have one. I still have some cornbread left over from last night, which I will probably eat. It's more heartier, it's definitely more traditional, pretty much just, ground corn. This is made from one of those mixes. I don't even remember what the person's name is, but it's the flour, cornmeal, all of that. So my husband will probably like this one a little bit more. So we'll do a slice of that. My nephew's not going to eat this for dinner, but we do have hot dogs that we had a couple days ago for lunch. So we're gonna heat up those. I took out hot dog buns from the freezer. And then we've got a bunch of different sides he can choose from as well. So that's what he will have for dinner tonight. We will not be back tomorrow for dinner. It's leftover night tomorrow. But we will come back Saturday for the last day of this week on the Pantry Challenge for this year. So yeah, so Saturday will be the last meal in this series, and then I'll get this video uploaded for you to watch on Sunday. So the meals will go from Sunday to Saturday. So I'll see you then. I'm back in the pantry, day 4, dinner. My basmati rice is empty, so I need to go to the 5-gallon bucket where I store my extra to refill this. But essentially I need to get rice and some stuff over from my canning area. Last time I did chicken broth, I guess I only did quarts, and I need pints, so I'm just going to use turkey broth. To me it's similar enough. So I need broth, tomato paste, green pigeon peas or gandules, I need green olives and what are those called? Green olives I have to get from my storage room downstairs. I don't have any up here that aren't stuffed with cheese or something. Let's see, what else do I need? Okay, I need my Sazon. Do you guys know what I'm making yet? I think that's all I need in terms of what I have here in this pantry. Okay, I don't have any capers and I do not have any green olives downstairs. So day 4 into the pantry challenge, and I'm already having to make decisions here, which generally does not happen this soon. But that's why I love this challenge so much, because I've now put green olives on my grocery list for when I'm done with this. I'll need to restock. I did do an inventory this last fall, and I'm surprised I've gone through that many green olives because I know I had a good supply of it. I just used 2 jars at Christmas time for the pasta salad that I made. I didn't know those were the last 2 jars at the time. But either way, capers definitely would have been nice in this situation because it lends to that saltiness that I love so much about this rice. It also then, I wouldn't have bothered putting olives in, although we love it very much. I just would have disregarded it altogether. However, because I don't have the capers, I really need an olive of some sort. So I'm gonna crack open the jalapeno garlic because the blue cheese and the feta that I have will not, in my opinion, go well with this dish. So we're gonna use this. I'll use some of the brine in here, and I will probably half the olives because these are really large. My husband and I love these olives. So we're gonna do it. We're gonna see what happens with it. While I was looking in the fridge to see if I had an opened thing of olives or capers, I realized I needed sofrito as well. So we'll use some of that. I'm going to rinse my rice. I'm going to get these dehydrated onions in a bowl with some water just to give a chance to hydrate a little bit, because I also don't have onions in the house, and I do have a bit of a supply of the frozen onions that I preserved, but I have to be careful with using those kind of willy-nilly at this point. So there are some recipes I'm really gonna want as close to a fresh onion as possible, and that's going to be the frozen onions. certain dishes I can get away with dehydrated or freeze-dried. This rice dish in particular, I just feel like I'll get the best flavor and outcome from dehydrated. But I do want to hydrate them a little bit. You don't always have to do it that way, but this particular time I think I'm going to. So I'm going to give those a few minutes to hydrate, rinse the rice, and then we'll get started on getting everything here into the Dutch oven. Okay, so I'm making Puerto Rican rice, and bring you closer to me here. This was a recipe given to me. This particular individual is Puerto Rican, and she taught me how to make it because the whole family loves her rice. So I make it on occasion. This has been a good, I don't know, 15 years or so, 13 to 15. I'm sure I've adapted it a little bit in my own way over time, so please don't, be offended if I make it different in some way. I'm sure I've switched it up, not realizing it over time. But I'm gonna get started with just a little bit of lard here at the bottom because I'm making it in my cast iron, and I always like to start giving it a really good base to sort of season my pot with. So we'll get that kind of going. I'm gonna get my broth opened, so that'll be ready to go. All right, I'm gonna add the onions that we hydrated. I'm also gonna add a couple dollops of the sofrito. We're gonna kind of let that saute up just a few minutes. We're gonna add our raw rice. We're gonna kind of get that rice toasted a little bit. So maybe about a tablespoon of tomato paste. I like to add seasonings to my pot while things are kind of sauteing up before I put all my wet ingredients in, because I think it just develops your flavors a lot better. I do a packet and a half. Oh, 1 cup of rice. I don't know if I gave you that measurement or not. Okay, I don't want my rice to burn or stick, so I'm gonna go ahead and add my broth. Smidgen more of water. We'll get those olives in there. Gandules. I did about 2/3 of the can. And splash of that brine. I'm gonna lower my heat to simmer, put the lid on, and that's that. Okay, dinner, day 4. Puerto Rican rice. I just did a simple chicken thigh with some of that Sazon seasoning, fried it up, finished it off in the oven, and then I took out some of the squash we have in the freezer, sauteed that up until all of the water came out and it started to brown a little bit. Put some all seasoning salt over the top, and that is today's dinner. Well, that finishes the first week, wasn't a full week, but the first week of the pantry challenge. Already today realized I have to put green olives on my shopping list. So not a big deal. Certainly not, you know, any heartache over here with certain types of dishes coming up, I'm sure. So we'll see what else comes down the road, and I'll see you tomorrow starting the second week of the pantry challenge. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know any suggestions you have down in the comments on any of the meals that we made so far this week. If you have any particular item in my pantry that you're wanting me to use so that maybe you can see how I would use it, let me know. I'm so happy to do something like that as well. So until next time, take care.